You may have heard of the term Coup de Jarnac, which is often decried as a cowardly move, falsely so, as we'll see. There are different translations for the French term un coup de Jarnac. Depending on the dictionary, it can be translated either as a stab in the back, or betrayal, or a surprise attack, or a finishing blow, where it's mentioned alongside the coup de grâce, which is usually a way of dispatching a downed opponent by thrusting a dagger into the gaps of the armor. The term comes from a famous duel in France in 1547 between Guy Chabot de Saint-Gelais, Baron de Jarnac, and François de Vivonne, seigneur de la Châtaigneraye. Sometimes it's written Châtaigneraye. I think that's how you pronounce it anyway. My French is a little rusty. As political intrigue among nobles would have it, rumors had spread that Jarnac was a little too intimate with his stepmother. Jarnac said that whoever made that assertion was a lying scoundrel. He went to his father to protest against the accusations and was eventually declared innocent. As it turned out, the one who instigated the rumors was Dauphin Henri, who would become King Henry II of France. Châtaigneraye was eager to please and defend him and challenged Jarnac too. So this was an armored judicial duel in the medieval tradition, even though we're already in the Renaissance at that point. A judicial duel is formal combat sanctioned by the authorities, meant to decide who is in the right in a dispute. The equipment was a cut and thrust sword, a steel buckler, a long dagger tied to the waist, a short dagger in the left boot, a gauntlet on the right hand, a mail shirt, a breastplate, and a morion helmet. The historical paintings of this duel usually represent the armor as heavier than that. Châtaigneraye was known as one of the most skilled swordsmen and wrestlers in France. He won several duels by charging his opponent, taking him to the ground with grappling, and then killing him with a dagger. Châtaigneraye was very confident in his skill. Basically, he just relaxed and partied before the duel, whereas Jarnac, knowing that he was at a disadvantage, took lessons from a renowned Italian fencing master, who presumably taught him the maneuver that would become known as the Coup de Jarnac. Jarnac, as the defender, had the choice of weapons, and he made good strategic use of that, as you'll see. Okay, so let's look at the practical side of this. My instructor, Erik, is helping out with this, and we're going to go through a couple of interpretations of the sources. There are several. The issue here, of course, is going against a more experienced fighter, which, Erik very much is, so he will be taking the role of Châtaigneraye, and I will be Jarnac. So I want to mitigate his advantage as much as possible. One of the things he did sneakily was to opt for a type of dueling armor for the arm that keeps it locked in place straight. So you can't bend it. What's the point of that? Well, he knew that Châtaigneraye is very good at grappling, so he did not want to be rushed and wrestled to the ground and stabbed with a dagger, which is what he did in previous duels. So this way, if we're both here, there's not really going to be a lot of grappling going on. All right, so in the first interpretation, Châtaigneraye throws a thrust, and Jarnac defends against that. We don't really have the specifics of that, but probably something like this, deflecting, pushing with the buckler against his, so I can deliver the cut to the left calf. And that would make him collapse, not being able to stand. And then he delivered either another cut right after to the same leg. So, boom, boom. Or he switched from one leg to the other. So in that case, here, as he collapses, I can then cut here. The most plausible version of the interpretation to me seems that Châtaigneraye tried to get back up. So basically, after this happens, boom, I back off because I know that, okay, he's probably not going to be able to stand. So he then struggles to get back up, and I'm like, okay, fine, boom. Deliver another one to either the same leg or the opposite leg. So that would definitely make sure that he stays down.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, another source says that there was a slicing cut to the back of the leg. So the way that's described is that Jarnac feinted a cut to the head, and as soon as the buckler rises up, he goes in with the false edge against the inside of the leg, palm up, and slices. Châtaigneraye startles at first, and then Jarnac follows up and delivers a more serious slice. Feint, boom, slice, he kind of flinches, and boom. This is how I would imagine just the quickest way would be to just push and deliver this the same slice.
Yeah, push slice on that leg would definitely do a lot more damage.
Yeah. So slices can be pretty weak, depending on the clothing especially. From what I could gather, they didn't seem to have leg armor, although some of the paintings show them with leg armor, but a different style than what was described. But even if they had something covering the thighs, it was probably open in the back. It can be actually pretty difficult to slice through sturdy clothing. But this really depends on body mechanics. If you just do a little red slicing action with just the arm, it's going to be different than driving it with the entire body. So that seems reasonable enough that he would do enough damage to the hamstring. According to another source, what happened was Jarnac received a cut to the buckler and retaliated with a cut to the thigh. This could go down one of two ways, depending on the stance. If the left leg is forward, the cut comes in. I would have to step forward with my right leg and deliver that cut. If the right is already forward, I would just strike directly. So that is a very quick and efficient way of responding to that. Shows up in several manuals. Paulus Hector Meyer, 133, Paulus Kahl. So pretty much bread and butter technique. Yet another source describes it as a feint to the outside leg, which is then followed by a reverse cut with a false edge. So I act like I'm going to cut to his leg. He defends against that. Instead of following through, I just bring it around and strike with the false edge to the inside of the leg. That's how it seems plausible. So again, feint, boom. This is not the strongest cut. It's kind of awkward to redirect it like this, but if you're doing it properly, you can put quite a bit of body weight behind it. So could work, it just seems a little tricky. But at the same time, you would need a good trick to be able to get somebody who is that much more skilled and experienced. So there's that. So the takeaway here is that the Coup de Jarnac was likely not that unusual. I find it most plausible to look at it as a high-risk, high-reward maneuver. And he was not criticized for using it, so it was not considered cheap or dishonorable or cowardly or anything like that. Anyway, hope you found this interesting. Thanks for watching, and have a good one, folks. And maybe try not to argue too much with nobles, just in case.